Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Primetime Carolina. I'm your host, Tanner Blue, along with my co-host, Dave LaFave. Dave, what is going on, brother? How you doing?
What is up, Tanner? It's good to be here, as always. I think we got to give some shout-outs to all our new subscribers, man. Our goal is 300, and we're already at 400. Shout out to everybody following the channel. And
Are we already at 400?
Yeah, bro, we hit 400 today.
The other day, we were just like 298.
Dude, we're balling like that.
Dude.
But also shout out to you, Tanner, for putting on for the podcast, joining the Shakedown Sports Podcast for the NFC South Roundtable, representing the Carolina Panthers and the Primetime Carolina Podcast. Putting on for the pod, as we like to say.
That's right. I did it for the pod. I did it for the NFC South. I had a great time hopping on there with those guys. Hopefully we can do a little mid-season shakedown with the boys.
Yeah.
Whenever the Saints are undefeated and they're going to win the Super Bowl, apparently.
Jameis Winston, I guess, rolled his ankle today or something. And my first thought was he might not get those 32 guaranteed touchdowns.
Did he really roll his ankle?
Yeah. I mean, I assume he's going to be okay. And I hope he's going to be okay. I like Jameis Winston, but that was the first thing I thought about for whatever reason.
But yeah, no, I had a good time on there. It was a lot of fun. But shout out to those guys having us on.
Shout out.
Yeah, we got thank you guys to all the subscribers and the all the viewership we're getting. It's been great. I mean, we started this last year, just for some fun. We've been pretty consistent about it, and coming into this upcoming season, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely stay tuned. We love doing this stuff, love coming on here, just talking Panthers and just cutting up, having fun, just waiting for that eventual Super Bowl that will come eventually, hopefully this year.
You almost made me choke on my drink with that one. But yeah, Super Bowl. And what's the first step to a Super Bowl, Tanner? But yet a training camp, a preseason week 1 game against the Washington Commanders. I almost said Guardians. I'm getting all my new name non-Native American teams mixed up over here. The Washington Commanders.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I like the football team name better.
Dude, as bad as football team is of a name, Commanders might be worse. I mean, it's like they were trying to make it worse. And they went from not having a name to having a worse name just by picking the name they picked. I don't know how you do that, but they did it. Yeah, I mean, it's just boring. It's just, at least the football team, it's like, it's different. It definitely sticks out. I mean, it kind of sounds like a soccer club, like the Washington football team. Like at first I hated it, but then I completely flip on it. And I was like, I love this name. It's just so different. I like it. And then at least it was different.
It's just like, I really like the, I forgot. I know we talked about some of the names they had, but the Red Wolves or whatever, I kind of like some of that. I think they had some copyright issues with other teams. I don't know. But anyway, we got a week 1. It's like a college game. It's Saturday at 1:00. I'm not gonna know what to do with myself.
I know, it's like you can get hammered during the game and not have to worry about going to work the next day, which is not something you generally get with NFL games.
No,
even if it is preseason.
Even if it is preseason, why not? So, well, we will talk about the game a little bit later on. But first, we got to get to some training camp stuff. And, we've had some videos doing some updates here and there about training camp. But, now that we've got a pretty good grasp of what's been going on, this is the last week of training camp. I feel like this year it's gone by super quick. The biggest thing, obviously, has been the quarterback competition. And I say the word competition lightly. We all know it's going to be Baker that's going to be starting. You know that. I know that. Baker knows that. Sam knows that. Matt Rule, I think he knows that, maybe. But as it's gone on, we've seen Baker, kind of pull away from the competition. And the one thing that I've seen that has really made me excited, granted, this is training camp, take this with a grain of salt. there's been I feel like at least once or twice every practice, every scrimmage that we've seen from training camp, you have at least one or two 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown throws, like from Baker to DJ to Robbie to Terrace Marshall. Like, when's the last time the Panthers have thrown a pass over 50 yards for like a touchdown? It's been like since 2015. I don't know. I just like that explosiveness. Let's hope with it that happens this season.
Baker, I don't remember the stats exactly, but I saw something that said he had one of the better deep balls in the league over the last couple of years as far as deep ball accuracy goes, which is interesting because Sam Darnold had one of the worst. So who knows? We might get lucky there. But I mean, look, dude, talking to you, talking to any fan who's listening to this, do not buy into this quarterback competition nonsense. This is not a quarterback competition. Everybody, like, there are so many reports coming out of training camp from credible sources who are saying this is all but over already, and they haven't even played one preseason game yet. Now, does that mean Baker Mayfield will start the first preseason game? I don't know. Probably not. Matt Rule's weird. He's probably not going to let him start the first preseason game. Or if he does, I would imagine he'll let both quarterbacks start one of the first two games so it looks like it's a competition. But it's not a competition at all. I mean, maybe the first couple days it was kind of a competition. But as soon as Baker got his confidence up and got comfortable, he immediately took over that field and that offense. And you can feel the energy of guys rallying around him. So don't buy into this quarterback competition nonsense.
You know, I get both sides to this. I get the side where you have the coach speak and he's just not going to come out and flat out say Sam Darnold is not going to be playing quarterback this year. End of story. And then let him go practice. I get it. He has to make it seem like that. But the other side of me seems, dude, you've had 2 losing seasons and you probably should have gotten fired this past off season, but you came back this year. You were brought back this year. You need to win. You need to win at all cost. You know what's going to give you the best chance to win? Playing Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold. So let's cut the BS, quit the cupcake, earn your spot. And we'll talk about that in a second. We know who's going to play. Just put the guy out there, let him play. You're wasting valuable time by doing this competition when this guy who just got traded here a month ago could be getting valuable reps, working with the new offensive coordinator, working with the new players, building that chemistry. I mean, you're doing nothing but hurting yourself. We all know Sam Darnold's not going to start. Why? It's ridiculous. I get it, but it's so stupid.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, Tanner. And you hit the nail on the head, man. You're wasting reps, dude. You are wasting reps for the guy that you know is going to be leading your offense going into this season. And you can keep up with this charade as much as you want, but everybody knows what's going on. And, I don't know if you saw this because as quickly as it came out, it was retracted. But there was a report that the Panthers were shopping Sam Darnold today. And the team really seemed like they wanted to get that out of the news feed as quick as they could. And said it wasn't true. And, I could understand if they didn't want to shake Sam Darnold's confidence or whatever they want to tell people, but that's not the truth. We all know that if someone calls with a decent offer for Sam Darnold, you're going to take it. The only reason you haven't done it is because nobody wants him and nobody wants to take his contract. So don't sit here and act like we're that stupid to think you wouldn't trade Sam Darnold away tomorrow. So silly. The only reason they need a quarterback competition right now is because if they have a quarterback competition, that means Sam Darnold is worth something. If they announce that Baker Mayfield is the starter, there is absolutely no leverage to get rid of Sam Darnold. And quite frankly, as much as Matt Rule loves PJ Walker, that's probably been their plan all along, was to get rid of Sam Darnold, even though PJ Walker would probably be quarterback number 4 on a depth chart. I don't see them keeping Sam Darnold on this team right now.
I agree. Out of all the other 31 NFL teams, there's no one that would be stupid enough to make a trade, not because of the player, but just because of the contract. It's
it's an embarrassing contract. No one's going to take on that contract. This is essentially what I'm saying. So you might as well just wait for him to get cut, because I feel like that's what likely will happen. I doubt they're going to find a trade partner. If they do, they're going to eat majority of that money anyway. But I definitely could see a situation where I thought about this where, they can't find a trade partner. They just, they cut Darnold, and you roll in with 3 quarterbacks. You roll in with Matt Corral is like your number 2, your unofficial number 2 on the depth chart.
Right.
And then PJ Walker stays just because he's a Temple guy. He knows the offense. I mean, he can, you usually have 3 quarterbacks. You can't go in with 2 with a guy that we just traded for, who's kind of on a prove it deal, and then a rookie quarterback who's 3rd round. So, I could see 3 quarterbacks running, but we all know that Sam Darnold's not going to be the starter. Baker's going to be the starter. That's why they made the trade. We understand that. So, and it's a smart thing to do. I understand what they're doing. It's just frustrating seeing them go through the motions. It's like, come on, let's get to the good part. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously, if they can't trade Sam Darnold away, which, they can say they don't want to all they want, but I do not believe that. I am 100% sure they would trade him away if somebody was willing to offer something. But, it's so frustrating because it was so avoidable. We took on the 5th-year option last year before we watched him play 1 snap. So if you just waited to do that this offseason, you wouldn't even have him on your roster right now. You would have just traded for Baker Mayfield. You'd have Baker Mayfield and the rookie that you really like, and they'd be, your top 2 quarterbacks going into the season. But now you just have this awkward, weird dynamic with these quarterbacks, and it's like, they all know someone's not going to be there week 1. At least one of them is not going to be there week 1. Maybe 2 of them won't be there week 1. So they're all just kind of looking at each other. And, it's funny because if the Panthers want to make Sam Darnold look like an attractive option to any other team, a good game plan for them would be to go into this preseason, these 3 preseason games, and try to make Sam Darnold look good. Try to succeed more with Sam Darnold than you do with Baker Mayfield when you're calling these preseason plays, when you're trying to attack these preseason defenses. Make him look like the better quarterback, so someone in the league might look at him and say, hey, we can work with that, especially if our guy goes down. But, man, now you're just kind of stuck with him because nobody wants him.
No, and that 5th-year option, that was the trade for itself was, bad enough. I know we were at the time excited because we really had nothing else. But the trade itself was bad enough, but the option pickup was even worse. So they have no one to blame but themselves. But hey, we'll see what happens. I think without a shadow of doubt, we all know that Baker Mayfield is going to be the starter week 1. They can play who they want in the preseason, waste people's time, whatever they want to do. Blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about the mantra of earning your spot this year. You're not just going to come in here and you're going to start and play. You're going to earn your spot. So let's talk about what that means. Last season, the Panthers drafted a offensive lineman named Brady Christensen in the second or third round of the draft last year, 3rd round.
Yep.
The offensive line last year, going into that season, looked horrible on paper, and they were horrible on tape. So a good thing to do would have been, hey, we drafted this young lineman. Our offensive line isn't good. Let's play this guy and see what he's got. He's either going to be better or he's going to be worse. At least we'll know. So what did the Panthers do last year? They hardly play Brady Christensen until the end of the year, where he looks solid. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but he looks competent. So then they go into this offseason. They draft arguably the best left tackle prospect in the draft. And then they say, you know what, we're going to play Brady Christensen at left tackle and just give him some reps over our 1st round pick. That makes 0 sense. None.
It's Matt Rule in a nutshell, man. I mean, what more of a Matt Rule thing could you do besides draft a player who plays a position of need and then refuse to put him there for almost an entire season just so you can draft a better option the next year and then not let him play that spot because you have the guy you wouldn't let play that spot last year when you really needed him in that spot. So now, I mean, what is this guy doing? But I can say this. The reports from today are that he finally got some real opportunities in that spot with the first team, which is good news. And ultimately, I think he will end up there. But it just goes back to this whole thing of making guys fake earn these spots. But, you know, Akeem Ekwonu is such a beast, such a dude. I mean, he's going to go out there and he's going to play and he's going to earn this spot if that's what the coach is telling him he has to do. So ultimately, I'm not super worried about it, but this is professional football, so it just seems pretty silly to keep bringing these college-y type things into it when you're trying to prove to people you're not a college coach anymore.
Last year, your offensive line was bottom 5 in the league. Coming into this season, on paper, after the draft and free agency, we had arguably a top 15, top 10 offensive line if you look at it. You know what's going to help those guys get better? Gelling and getting reps and playing together, not switching them out like freaking Lego pieces. It's absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense. I get it, and I'm willing to guarantee that Icky's going to be the starter at left tackle week 1. He was the number 6 pick. You don't put him to sit him on the bench and make him earn a spot. This isn't middle school, high school football. Put the guy at the spot, let him learn, let him get better. You think playing with the second team and third team is going to make him get ready for Myles Garrett week 1? Hell no.
Yep.
Stupid.
Absolutely.
I get what you're saying, and I agree that he's probably going to be the starter, and that's fine. So I'm not worried about it. But it's the lengths we have to go to play these games to get this guy to play. Like, he should have just been there the whole time.
Yep. And it's the same thing with both guys. Whether you're talking about Baker Mayfield or Akeem Ekwonu, both of these guys need the reps for different reasons, you know, based on the situations they were put in. They need these reps, man. And to just sit there and just kick the can down the road, it's really all you're doing because you know eventually you're going to put them there anyway. What is with the charade? Like, we all know what these guys are here for. Why are we pretending like we have all these competitions? Like, we have positions that have legitimate competitions: wide receiver, cornerback, safety. We're deep at those positions. We have a lot of talented guys. There are going to be some good players getting cut. We don't have that problem at quarterback. Like, we don't have too many quarterbacks. We know who's starting at quarterback. So it's just, I don't know. It's pretty silly, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, and hopefully it'll get itself ironed out quickly. But it's just, come on, man. It's ridiculous.
But that does bring me to something I did want to talk about today. The wide receiver position. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen at that spot, because going into the season, you assume that last wide receiver is probably going to be Shi Smith. But CJ Saunders has been getting a lot of looks at that slot, even with the ones. So it's pretty interesting to see what's going to happen right there. You're talking about a 6th-round pick and an undrafted player. Which one of those guys is going to be the one that the team keeps? And I know I'm leaving somebody else out too. I got to pull up the roster and see. There's a third wide receiver who's pushing for that spot too. So
yeah, it's definitely a wide receiver is always a fun spot in training camp because you have these guys that just kind of show up there on those last fringe spots, and they really make it interesting. You know, we've heard a lot of good things about Andre Roberts. Obviously, CJ Saunders has played really well. Shi Smith, you know, we had high hopes for him last year. This year, you know, it's looking like he's going to be a fringe player. Zylstra, obviously going to be one of those guys that will probably make the team. I mean, you think you've got probably 4 or 5 locks. Obviously, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr. I would say Rashard Higgins is probably a lock. And then I would say Zylstra is also probably a lock. So that's 5 guys there. I mean, you usually go with 7 receivers, 6, 7?
Usually 6 or 7. And Zylstra is the other guy that I couldn't remember was that third guy. I think out of those three guys, at least one of them is going to get cut, I think, which is pretty wild because you figured at the beginning of, camp, CJ Saunders would be that guy, but he's been turning heads all over the place. And I think the coaches really like him. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, you look at it, Robbie Anderson 1, Higgins 2, Marshall 3, DJ Moore 4. And then Andre Roberts is 5. He's definitely going to be there because they want him as the kick and punt returner. So then you got Saunders, Smith, and Zylstra. If they keep 6 guys, 2 of those 3 guys are getting cut. If they keep 7, 1 of those guys is getting cut. So Shi Smith has made his plays. Actually, the name I've been hearing the least out of those 3 is Zylstra, which I know he's a guy that they really like and has made plays. And some people thought was, trending towards getting more and more play time here in the next couple of years. So it's going to be really interesting to see this preseason, how those 3 battle it out.
The only reason I say Zylstra is a lock because there's usually this like it's gonna sound weird. It's usually just like small, like white receiver that's usually like solid at catching and special teams that is a lock on every NFL team. Ours
that's going to be CJ Saunders, man. That might be CJ Saunders.
I just feel like there's always a guy that's like at the bottom of the depth chart that is always a lock, and he hardly ever plays. We're like, oh, this guy, he knows the playbook, he can catch the ball. Like, I like Zylstra, he's fine, but there's just always that guy that's just, I don't know.
You're talking about the next generation of Brenton Burson.
Exactly. Burson was always a lock. You had all these guys that came in through the preseason, they were getting hyped up. You wouldn't hear a peep from Burson. All of a sudden, he's like the 5th string starting receiver. You're like, where's this guy been?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens there. Corner as well is going to be real competitive. Actually, let's scroll up to that and see what we got there.
I tell you what, man. Are you a little nervous about JC Horn? Or are they?
I can't lie. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. He's already missed a little time. He's been back though, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, it's concerning for sure.
He's been back, and I don't think I don't think he's done a full padded practice yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been in pads at all. I know when he's been there, he's been taking it light. So I'd imagine he hasn't been doing any hitting or anything. But I am excited about CJ Henderson. I did a little video about him the other day. He's been turning a lot of heads in training camp. So former top 10 pick, top 10 pick, long, athletic, him and JC Horn are built pretty similar. We got CJ and JC. They're built similar, put them on opposite sides. They both wear Kobe Bryant's old numbers. Something about those guys. They're just a good tandem. They could be some lockdown corners for the foreseeable future as long as they can stay on the field.
Pump the brakes, my guy.
Never.
Don't do it. I'm telling you, man. Listen, I like CJ Henderson a lot. I've heard that.
What did Steve Wilkes turn Josh Norman into, Tanner?
He turned him into a lockdown corner for 2 years, and then he left.
When he wasn't with Steve Wilkes anymore.
True. So listen, I like CJ Henderson a lot. I was very optimistic about the trade. I think last year, was up and down. But there's always the training camp superhero. For years, it was Devin Funchess, and now he's a tight end for the Lions.
And he just made a sick catch the other day, I saw. So he's still a training camp super. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see him do well. I remember I saw like a month ago, like he just randomly got transitioned to tight end. I'm like, this is an odd move here, like in your 7th season or whatever.
The more time goes on, the better Cam Newton looks. I swear. It's like every receiver he ever worked with turned out to be a bum or so fat they had to put him at tight end.
Yes.
One or the other.
Correct. Exactly.
But continuing this conversation, Dante Jackson, Stanley Thomas Oliver, Miles Hartfield, Keith Taylor. There's a lot of talent at that position. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there.
There are. I mean, I really like what I'm seeing. There's a bunch of good young guys, and I'm just worried about the health. That's it. On paper, this is a very, very solid secondary. JC Horn, we need him to stay healthy. We need him to get ready for week 1. CJ Henderson,
need him to get ready. Dante Jackson, he's very hit or miss. But when he's good, he's damn good. When he's bad, he's bad. But I want to see him in the slot. We've got some guys. This is probably the most comfortable I've felt with my secondary in a long time. So I like what I see. Hopefully the guys can just stay healthy and they can bring it, because I like what I see in the secondary position.
Yeah. And we haven't even mentioned some of the other guys either. Kalen Barnes was a draft pick this year. I don't think he'll make the team. I think he'll be a, practice squad guy, assuming they can bring him back. Duke Dawson started opposite of CJ Henderson at Florida. That's pretty cool. Tay Hayes, they just brought in from Appalachian State with all these, nicks and bruises they've had at that position so far during training camp. So hopefully we see a lot of these backup guys during the preseason and everybody's nice and ready to go health-wise once the week 1 matchup rolls around.
I tell you what, why the secondary is going to be so important this year? Because the front 7 makes me very nervous. It does.
It makes me nervous as well.
It does. I like what I've heard good things about the defense, the front 7, especially the defensive line. I mean, I know they're very thin, but I mean, in practice, from what I've seen, they've done, a decent job. We're really going to, I think Burns is going to have a really good year. I think he's our best player on the line, obviously. And then it all becomes Derek Brown, man. I mean, what's he going to do? Is he going to show up? Is he going to live up to that draft hype? I mean, his rookie season, I would say he was solid. Last year was, not so good. This year, let's see what happens. I think he's going to have a solid year this year, and we need him to, because we are thin, especially at defensive end. You got Burns, but beside him, you've got Gross Matos. Is he the guy? Maybe. Marquise Haynes, a little bit of a situational player. He's dealing with an injury right now.
Yep.
And that's kind of it. And the Panthers have been looking on the free agent market for guys to sign. I mean, there's been a couple people here and there that they've worked out or they brought in, and they have not signed anyone yet. So I think, coming here in the next couple of weeks, they will sign someone. I mean, I think they really don't have a choice. They need more depth. They need somebody. But the defensive side of the ball on the front 7 worries me. And then Shaq, he is in practice. I know he's on the PUP list. And then I really couldn't tell you who our other 2 starting linebackers are. I really couldn't.
We have Corey Littleton. I know he's going to start. And then I assume Frankie Louvu will take that other spot, but
I do like Louvu. He is
the linebacking group. I mean, I like them if I can find them.
See, like them, you can't even find them.
The linebacking group, I like them. I like them all individually. I like Littleton. I like Louvu. Whoa. I like Littleton. I like Louvu. I like Shaq. I like Brandon Smith. I like Stanford. I like keeps scrolling on me. Where's the other name I'm looking for? Damian Wilson, who we brought in from Jacksonville. I mean, I like all those guys individually, but as far as what this unit is going to be as a whole, I have a lot of question marks about what they can do as a unit. So we'll see what happens, I guess. But, I hope I'm wrong. But as you were saying before, you go back to the defensive ends, there's just no depth. You look at what we had on that list a second ago, and after you get past the top 3 guys, you have Amari Barno, who is a complete unproven player. We just drafted him in the 6th round. And then you got a bunch of guys who are 3s at best. Who's on there? Wes Horton, Austin Larkin, Drew Jordan, Daryl Johnson, Frank Herron. Horton. What? I just actually said a really old name.
I was about to say, Wes Horton still on the team? Holy shit.
I threw it back to one of our old 3rd string defensive ends. But yeah, you got all these guys who are just fringe roster players. They're not guys who are going to come in and contribute. So it's very concerning. And, I don't know. It's probably too late for them to do anything about it, honestly.
Yeah, it's it's tough because looking at it now, I think, you might have, as this lady smiles at me on camera.
They love these, like,
they
forcing
love
you to watch these ads when you look at the roster.
Looking at it now, it's, you wish you would have re-signed Hassan Reddick. And I know he's very similar to the skill set of Burns, but looking at what we have now, it's like, maybe we should have.
And dude, I mean, they had the money to do it. That's the thing. They have some of the biggest cap space in the league. So it's like, why did we not make that move? I mean, I guess, I know he wanted a longer contract than we were probably willing to offer, but we're in a rough spot now when it comes to that pass rush. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully we're wrong, but it doesn't look good on paper.
No, it's definitely something that is concerning. So we'll see what they do. We'll take a look at the preseason, see what some guys can do, and then I'm sure they will bring in someone. I don't know who that's going to be. It could be some random Joe Schmo off the street. Off the street. I have no idea, but we'll see. But yeah, for the most part, over the past, ever since Tepper took over, I remember during the Cam Newton, like 2011, 2015 years, training camp, media was very prominent. There were lots of people there. It really didn't take much to get lots of training camp coverage from multiple sources. Now you go, it's tough. I mean, you find, your reporters there talking about stuff, but the mainstream coverage of training camp has been toned down dramatically. And I don't know why that is, but it's kind of strange to me.
I've noticed that as well, especially as far as team coverage goes. I saw today that they plan on releasing like a Camp Confidential sometime in the near future. So at least that'll be something good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
You know what? I'm actually kind of pumped. I'm actually kind of pumped for Hard Knocks with the Lions. I think that's actually going to be good.
I think so. Did you see Dan Campbell had them doing up downs on their first day of camp?
I love it.
I'm telling
but if Matt Rule does it, I don't like it. But if Dan Campbell does it, it's okay.
You know what?
At least with Dan Campbell, he's got a personality. He's got like drive, and it just gives me something to get behind. Like with Matt Rule, like if he told me to go run like gassers, I'd be like, dude, no, shut up.
Dude, that's the other thing. Apparently, like Rashard Higgins the other day, like reached the ball across the plane. Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. Matt Rule is so cringeworthy.
You kidding me? You're gonna earn that spot.
Jesus.
You're gonna earn that celebration.
Kidding me? Professional football players, man. Really?
You know what? How about you worry about winning some games there and doing your job before you worry about your receiver scoring a touchdown?
Nope. Can't do it.
I mean,
can't do it.
I hate to be this guy that's like it's so easy to like be, Matt Rule sucks. Like I get it, but he just does these things that just that's so
the
hard.
Thing is like I don't want to bash the man, but I feel like he gives me no choice. Like
exactly, like he's on my team. I want to support him. I mean, I never really liked Baker Mayfield my whole time he's been in the NFL, but now I'll support the guy. I want him to do well. But yeah, it's just hard for me to just like get behind him. He just does stuff. It's like, dude, you just stop.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we're running out of time here, but the Panthers have a game on Sunday, or excuse me, Saturday. The Panthers have a game on Saturday. So let's get our score predictions for the Panthers' first preseason game of the 22 season. And I know what you're thinking.
19-15. That's
19 to 15. That's a good preseason score. I'm going to go a little higher scoring than that. I'm going to go 27 to 19.
Works for me. I have no idea who the Commanders have. I am interested to see Sam Howell play, being a Carolina fan. I want to see how that turns out. And obviously, I want to see Matt Corral go out there and throw some dimes.
I know, man. The whole time Sam Darnold's out there, I'm going to be like, bro, it's Matt Corral time. What is this?
Exactly. But no, we've got to get those reps for PJ and got to get those reps for Sam.
Got to get those reps for Sam so we can trade them away.
No time for you, first man at training camp. Go sit down.
Hey, man, those rookies aren't allowed on the field on a Matt Rule team, no matter how bad you need them out there.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so yeah, I have no idea what to expect in the preseason game, so we'll see what happens. I want to say this real quick before we get out of here. Shout out to Sam Mills, the first Carolina Panther Hall of Famer. I wanted to ask you, who's the next guy? I think we know who's in line. Steve Smith, Peppers, Kuechly. Who do you think gets in first?
Are they all up for it next year? Well, Steve Smith's already up for it.
Yeah, I think
Peppers must be up for it because his last year was 2017. I don't think Kuechly will. He might.
No, I think he's got time, a little bit more.
Yeah, I think Kuechly has a little more time. So I'm gonna go with. I think Peppers is he's got to be first ballot, right? Because he finished like third or fourth all time in sacks.
Has to be.
I'm gonna go both Steve Smith and Julius Peppers.
Boom. And then I think Luke will definitely get in. It's just going to take maybe a little bit of time because he retired early.
Facts. All right. Well, we are out of time. So thanks everybody for watching. Peace out and keep pounding.
Shout out to our non-subscription on Zoom. Thank you. We only get 1 hour.
We used to be ballers like that.
Thank you. See you next time.